I think most people who have been following the saga in the Supreme Court probably had an inkling that this was going to happen, not least because within the last few years, the appointments to the Supreme Court have been made by Republican presidents who have a particular bugbear against abortion rights, or have used, Trump campaigned, having been himself previously sort of on the fence or actually pro-choice, switched to a pro-life position for reasons I suppose we can speculate about. And the appointment of Justice Amy Coney Barrett, for example, and Brett Kavanaugh probably signaled to most people that Roe versus Wade was in danger. And then we had the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization case, which was the real trigger for pushing Roe to the limit. And that was, in the end, that is the camel that's the straw that's broken the camel's back. But it's important to note that ever since it's the original ruling in the 70s, there have been case after case, attack after attack on Roe. And so I think for most of us who are, have been following this, it doesn't come as a surprise.
Ella, what the supporters of this are saying is that, well, look, this is something, this is about democracy. This is a decision that shouldn't be made by unelected judges in a court. This is something that should be decided democratically by each state. And so what do you say to that? They're painting this as a triumph for democracy.
There is an interesting and important discussion to be had about the way in which American politics works, much like we could have discussions about the House of Lords or the monarchy in the UK. I mean, the setup of the Supreme Court and the way in which, particularly in America, you have this kind of means of lawfare where much of political debate happens in the courts rather than happening at the election, at the ballot box. That's a problem. But please, let's get real here. This was not a row about democracy, and this was not an admission from the Supreme Court of saying, oh, well, we just really shouldn't have this power. We're handing it back to the man and woman at the ballot box. That's nonsense. It's not what it was about. This was a concerted effort by campaigners and the people who brought the Dobbs case, and those who within the Supreme Court who have had it in for abortion rights for quite some time, to see their opportunity to overturn Roe. I think you really can't underestimate the growth of the kind of active growth of pro-life sentiment in America. It's always been a nation that's been divided. Let's not underestimate that. It's always been the case that there's been a strong anti-choice movement.
Yeah. I was looking at the abortion figures in the USA in 2020. It's nearly 1,930,000. So my concern is, what is going to happen to all of those women who were and have been seeking abortions?
Well, it's an incredible state of affairs that one of the most developed nations in the world now has one of the most, potentially some of the most backward abortion laws in the world. Immediately after Roe fell from the Supreme Court ruling, states across America introduced, literally instantly had what they called trigger laws, institute laws that, for example, some of them almost ban abortion outright. They had things like heartbeat bills, which means that abortion can't be allowed after, as early as 6 weeks. Women will have to travel. I mean, and if you think about how extensively large America is, the amount of finances you'll need and the time you'll need off work or whatever to be able to travel from, say, for example, Little Rock, Arkansas to California in order to get an abortion is going to be insurmountable for many women. I mean, the offshoot of this is that lots of women will have to try and access particularly early abortion pills illegally.